Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Lynn Cancer Institute, our updates for 2026 from our nutrition series. We're so grateful to have you all with us today and to learn from our very own oncology clinical dietitian, Marie Morandi. As you can see on the screen, the title for her lecture today is Discover the Power of Nutrition. At the Lynn Cancer Institute, we believe that nutrition is the basis of healthy living for our patients and survivors, as well as prevention for all of us. Now, I want everyone to know that the Zoom will be muted. So we ask you to please take notes during her presentation. And if you have questions or comments, you can put them in the QA box or the chat box below. And Marie will have time at the end of her presentation to address any of the questions. So thank you all for joining us. And Marie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you everyone for attending and joining our Zoom and Connect today on Discover the Power of Nutrition. My name is Marie Morandi. I'm an oncology dietitian here. I've been here for almost 19 years now, and this is one of my favorite things to do. So let's get into our presentation for today. I wanted to start off because in some of our most recent meetings, we got an update from the American Cancer Society, and there is good news when it comes to cancer and cancer survival. Cancer survival rate has increased to 70% related overall for survival, and it's related to early detection, new treatments like targeted therapies and immunotherapies. And interestingly enough, as far as risk factors and prevention, research indicated that roughly 40% of new cancers and 44% of cancer deaths in adults are attributed to modifiable lifestyle factors. So we do have control over some things: smoking, alcohol use, poor diet, physical inactivity. Screening, of course, remains critical. Colonoscopies, your mammograms, your skin exams can detect precancerous lesions and find cancers at early stages, which can improve your outcomes. So that is the good news. We have a power of lifestyle against cancer. And I hope that everybody can, take this home to families and friends and, really kind of spread the word that staying lean, eating smart, moving, exercising, of course, can prevent a very high percentage of certain types of cancers. 38% for breast cancer, 39% for pancreatic, 47% for esophageal, almost 70% of esophageal or stomach, 11% of prostate cancers, and more. 63% of our head and neck type of cancers can be prevented by lifestyle. So that is another very good news and power to pass along. The power of nutrition against cancer. According to the American Dietetic Association, our cancer experts eating a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables, grains and legumes aids in the fight against cancer and other chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. So that plant-based diet doesn't mean you have to be completely vegetarian or vegan, but it does mean that we should be selecting most of our foods from plant sources. That means we want a substantial portion of one or more fruits and vegetables on every plate for our meals and snacks. We want to aim for 5 or more. Often I say 6 to 9 servings every day of a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables. And why? Where's the power in our fruits and vegetables, and why do we always talk so much about it? Well, these foods are naturally low in calories, but they're also a good source of phytochemicals. And phytochemicals are plant-based nutrients in our foods that have an impact on how our bodies function. So they are naturally occurring. So I guess chemicals might be a little bit deceiving there, but they're plant-based nutrients. They're associated with the color and odor and flavor of foods. They help support overall health and protect our cells from damage. And once we eat them, research shows they can influence the processes, the metabolism, the inside of our bodies, inflammation, reducing inflammation, changing hormones, so we can stimulate the immune system with these plant-based nutrients. We can block substances that we eat from becoming carcinogens. We can reduce inflammation that makes cancer grow more likely. We can prevent damage to the DNA, which is a starting point for cancerous cells, and help with DNA repair. So we can repair the damage that we don't have control over. We can reduce the kind of oxidative damage that can spark these cancer cells to grow. We can trigger damaged cells to commit suicide, so to speak, and also called apoptosis. And we can help regulate hormones. So the foods that we eat can regulate estrogen and things that may be related to hormone-related cancers. So it is very powerful effect on our body and our health. So illustration of the power of variety, because remember we talked about quantity, but we also talked about a variety of fruits and vegetables. So European Perspective Investigation into Cancer and Nutrition was a study of nearly 500,000 participants, categorized by how many different fruits and vegetables they ate in 2 weeks. And those in the top category reduced their risk of lung cancer by 27%. And then regardless of the amount, those with the most variety were also linked to a reduced risk among smokers. So that's just one. Other studies looking into diversity of fruits and vegetable consumption have also found decreased overall risk among individuals who have a higher variety of vegetable consumption, and these were seen in colorectal cancer, colon cancer, gastric, oral, pharyngeal, breast, and esophageal. And of course, some power there within the GI tract, but as we mentioned, those hormone-related cancers do come into play with those as well. So we've kind of illustrated the power of the variety, the diversity, the quantity of fruits and vegetables. And we've talked in the past in some of our other lectures about the power of nutrition as digestive aids and how it can help even during cancer treatments with some of the side effects that we can experience along the way. So nausea relief, of course, is one of the most common side effects to cancer treatments, and we do have potential benefit from including ginger, cinnamon, even cilantro, cardamom, nutmeg into our foods, into the cooking, using as a tea or adding into foods. So that can be of great relief. Just kind of generalized GI distress, upset stomach, bloating, cramping, any of those kind of gas issues. Allspice is one thing that can help. Using certain types of fiber can be easier to digest. So bananas and cooked apples, where that cooking process is developing the pectins in the apple, can be easier to digest. Adding bay leaves to tea or in cooking can also help with GI distress. Caraway, cardamom. They even suggest chewing on cardamom seeds can help with gas or stomach aches. And then, as we said, cinnamon, cilantro, cumin, mint. Mint is really nice and refreshing. It can help when we get those odd taste sensations in our mouth and taste changes. Nutmeg, lemongrass, saffron. So a lot of these things can be drank, added into meals, teas, those kind of things. And then other digestive aids, fennel, buckwheat, yogurt, the fermented foods, especially when, gas and GI distress, change in bowels, all those kind of things. We can support the healthy gut microbiome with more types of soluble fiber and fermented foods for the probiotics, which can kind of help restore our good gut microbiome and help relieve the gas blowing kind of issues that can come up with therapy. So what we don't necessarily want if you're having a lot of gas and bloating is the bran, the skins, the raw vegetables. So you want cooked and fermented and um, soluble fiber to help. Other digestive aids, as I mentioned, the mint can be helpful with taste changes. Basil can be good. Lemon or lime can kind of brighten flavors. So when they're either too sweet or a metallic taste or no dulled taste, lemon and lime can kind of enhance. And we only use a few drops, so it's not where it's going to be so acidic that it's going to bother mouth sores. A few drops can just kind of liven things up. Same thing with cinnamon. Sea salt. I know a lot of people bad rap when it comes to salt, but a little bit of sea salt can actually also the same enhance the flavor of foods, reduce that over sweetness. A lot of people will get enhanced taste buds, so things will be too sweet, too salty, too bitter, metallic. So switching up the uh, spices and the herbs and doing some of these little tricks may help. Ginger, of course, is a very strong flavor. Teriyaki, onion, garlic. So when their taste buds are dulled, using these stronger flavors can help get some taste and some palatability in the food through. Dry mouth, you can try putting mustard seeds on the tongue, lemon drops or a little bit of lemon juice in water or in foods, just because that's super sour can help stimulate saliva production. Papaya can help sucking on lozenges or lemon drops or things like that. Chewing gum also stimulates saliva production. Um, Basil honey tea, of course, with sore throats and things in fighting colds to boost the immune system, of course. I also wanted to kind of go over some of the other the power of nutrition when it comes to managing other concerns. So managing blood pressure. So blood pressure changes can come with during cancer treatments, either low or high blood pressure. Foods high in potassium can help manage high blood pressure, along with limiting sodium, of course, and salt in the diet. So apricots, kiwi, garlic, artichokes, cantaloupe, beets, squash, green leafy vegetables, raisins, mushrooms. All of these things are high in potassium, so it can help hydrate us, lower blood pressure, amongst, of course, along with being high in antioxidants and vitamins and good nourishing. Also, foods high in magnesium can also help manage high blood pressure. So try eating foods high in magnesium like bananas or soy milk or yogurt, oatmeal, beans, of course, as long as they're not too gassy for people, shrimp, tuna, beets, and we can work that in, broccoli, edamame. There's a lot of benefits to soy foods and edamame, so we're going to get protein from that along with magnesium and other nutrients. Corn. And I find it interesting, corn is a good source of magnesium, and a lot of people will look at me and say, oh, corn has no nutritional value. I'm like, no, that's not true. We're going to get benefits from fiber and magnesium and other nutrients from corn and potatoes, and of course, nuts. I often encourage people to snack on nuts. Nuts are high calorie, high protein, good minerals, magnesium. So it can be very beneficial as a snack or part of a meal or adding to cereals or anything like that. So the power of nutrition when it comes to foods that can help fight cancer and inflammation. So just kind of wanted to go over, there's so much variety here and so many different foods that can help. I think anybody can find something that they like. So apples are being a good source of quercetin, which is an anti-inflammatory plant-based nutrient. And it is mostly found in the skin. So when we can do raw fruit, eat with the skin, or actually cook the apples with the skin and see if we can, and to be able to get that benefit. Apricots, of course, a good source of potassium. Asparagus, between vitamin A, vitamin K, folic acid, um, boost the immune system, anti-inflammatory. Avocados for the healthy fats that we're going to get, can help fight cancer and cleanse carcinogens from the glutathione that's in avocados. Barley with the lignans can block estrogen receptors. Of course, is important with our estrogen hormone cancers. Basil, interestingly enough, can reduce some of the effects of radiation on healthy cells. So, you know, adding basil to your meals, to teas, can offer that benefit. Beans, of course, as a high intake of fiber, lowers the risk of recurrence of certain types of cancers, especially colon and GI related. And of course, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, between our indole 3-carbinol, breaks down and blocks and weakens estrogen, your fiber content, your vitamin A, your vitamin C that you're going to get from those cruciferous vegetables that's why we call those the superfoods. Carrots, squash, sweet potatoes, of course, for beta carotene, a source of vitamin A as an anti-inflammatory. And then, of course, celery, which can kind of work as a cleanser and an antioxidant. We've got cherries, cranberries, eggs, flax seeds. Green tea, of course, is a potent antioxidant and can boost the immune system, help our body fight infections. Our other sources of omega-3 fats are fatty fish, mushrooms, pineapple for the vitamin C, of course, and different nutrients there. Parsley can also reduce the effects of smoke. So if you are grilling or doing that as the summer approaches and we do more outdoor cooking, having some kind of salad with parsley and some of these other vegetables, maybe even basil, can at least help to counteract some of the effects of that, the smoke on the meat. I would also suggest marinating your meat because that's going to help protect the meat from the high heat and the effects of the high heat. Pomegranates, of course, for prostate cancer, for cancer in general, is an antioxidant, super healthy and boosts the immune system. Red grapes, blueberries for the resveratrol. So we've always kind of heard the benefits of wine and alcohol against heart disease as it relates to resveratrol. However, alcohol has no anti-cancer benefit. So I often suggest, to get the benefit for your heart and to get a benefit to fight cancer, sticking with the red grapes or Concord or purple grapes or blueberries is a better option. Of course, we talked about our orange foods, our squash and our carrots and our pumpkin and our nuts. Tomatoes have been studied a lot as when it comes to prostate cancer risk. It's a source of lycopene. It's a potent antioxidant in the prostate itself and work against that. Turmeric, of course, has been touted very highly as far as working against prostate cancer risk, other types of cancers. They have studied, absorption and metabolism of turmeric, and we do better with absorbing turmeric when it's paired with black pepper. Interestingly enough, I also recently found an article that the turmeric that gets into our lower GI and hits our microbiome actually also metabolizes turmeric and changes the form. So some of the benefit we can get from absorbing that altered form can also help out, and maybe why, even though turmeric isn't well absorbed, we still see a benefit from that. Flax seeds, of course, high in antioxidants, those lignans, those binding the circulating estrogen, reducing the risk of breast. Garlic can inhibit tumor formation. It can also lower blood pressure. So we want that. And when we're using garlic, we want to smash the garlic, kind of, and let's say chop it up or crush it and leave it out on the chopping block or wherever you're preparing your meal for about 10 minutes. This allows the enzymes in the garlic to function, to activate the nutrients in the garlic, and then you can add it into your salad or cook with it or whatever. Unfortunately, when we roast garlic in the whole bowl, like many people will do, we won't get the same benefit of the garlic as if we crush the garlic and let that sit and activate for that 10 minutes. When you need a sweetener, or, many foods, we still need some sweeteners. And I know sugar and cancer gets this kind of connection. There's a lot of concern with sugar, and that's a whole different, I could speak a whole nother presentation when it comes to sugars. But what we want to focus on is our natural sugars, our natural fruits, our honey, pure maple syrup, the things that are least processed, unprocessed, and natural. So interestingly enough, the Tulang and the Manuka types of honey as a sweetener are lower glycemic, not as effective, as much of an effect on the blood sugars, but they also have very similar properties to the breast cancer medications, the tamoxifens, things like that. So they can actually also help to fight cancer. We get immune components from the bees, to boost the immune system. They're anti-inflammatory. So we need to consider the type of sugar when we're looking at, our foods and what we're restricting, what we're not restricting. So pure fruit, real honey, these are all still very important foods to include in the diet because they offer nutritional benefit versus corn syrups and processed sugar, which has been depleted of a lot of those nutrients. So I often, talked a lot in the past about eating a rainbow. So I wanted to remind everybody what that looks like. The color code system for fruits and vegetables divides foods by red, purple, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, and white, green. And these categories come with different types of plant-based nutrients that benefit our body. And this is why you want the variety and the quantity. So this helps to get both. So by eating a rainbow throughout the day, with our red foods, we're going to get that source of lycopene, those carotenoids, that antioxidant, the reducing proliferation, the spread of cancer cells, protect the lipids in our foods, protect our DNA. So that's going to be our cooked tomatoes, our grapefruit, watermelon, apricots, pink guavas. So we can do this by a high intake of, they found a high intake of cooked tomato products can reduce prostate cancer risk. We kind of suggested that. It may also work against breast and heart disease. They work synergistically, so it's important to eat the whole food. So a lot of people will take some of this research and they'll take lycopene. They'll take a vitamin supplement that has all these components in there and think they're going to get that benefit. When in reality, I always encourage food first because there may be nutrients in foods that we haven't even discovered yet that are going to work with things that we know of, like vitamin A, vitamin C, lycopene, carotenoids, and help them all work together. So lycopene is fat soluble. So when we are eating tomatoes or tomato sauce or tomato juice or salsa, you want a little bit of some type of oil or fat in that meal so we can absorb that better. Our purple foods, probably the most common food category, color category that people are going to eat. We know we're going to eat our berries or an apple or grapes or grape juice or something like that. So easiest thing for us to get and most common, I would say. They are potent, source of anthocyanins, which can work against free radicals, stimulate detoxing from detox enzymes, reduce cell proliferation, reduce inflammation, and kind of induce that cell suicide, so to speak, that apoptosis. So consumption of anthocyanins lowers the risk of heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, cancer. Is part of that antioxidant, anti-inflammatory benefit. So more studies are needed for humans, but as far as bioavailability and how much and those kind of things. But again, variety. So we have orange foods and orange yellow foods. So orange foods are a good source of carotenoids. May inhibit cancer cell growth, work as antioxidants, improve immune response. So this is our carrots, mangoes, apricots, cantaloupe, pumpkin, winter squash, acorn squash, sweet potatoes. So very important. And I often remind people, a lot of people talk in the internet or in the shows about greens. Eat your greens, get your green leafy vegetables, get a green smoothie, all this kind of stuff. But we have to remember that it is just important to get orange foods and yellow foods and purple and red. So we need it all. High amounts of fruits and vegetables containing carotenoids can decrease the risk of lung cancer. So we have that expert report. We have a review. Women with breast cancer eat more fruits and vegetables, had a better chance of preventing the disease from returning. So as far as our survivors, we link blood levels of carotenoids with lower odds of facing the disease again. So even after cancer and treatments as a survivor, these things have an effect and can benefit long term. So we do have evidence that foods containing carotenoids protect against mouth, pharyngeal, laryngeal, and lung cancer. So the other orange/yellow foods is our citrus. So source of vitamin C, source of beta-cryptoxanthin, which is a phytochemical. It's anti-inflammatory agent against precancerous lesions. So this is oranges, tangerines, nectars, peaches. When we have problems, let's say during treatment, and we can't necessarily do a lot of oranges, they're too acidic or they bother a mouth sore or upset stomach or add to reflux, I often suggest we can do peaches. The peach is in the same category. We could do kiwi because that can also be in that same citrus category. So consider those. So our leafy greens are a source of lutein, zeaxanthin. These are also carotenoids, may inhibit cancer cell growth. So we got spinach, and our collard greens are our corn, our green peas, our avocado, our honeydew melon, and rhubarb, and of course, like we said, foods containing carotenoids can protect against cancers of the head and neck and lung. And there's also been a study as far as protecting our eyes from macular degeneration when it comes to foods containing lutein and xanthine, so our leafy greens can also protect our eyes along with our cancer risk. So our cruciferous vegetables, which is our broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kale, these are sources of indoles, sulforaphanes, isothiazates. So detox the body, limit production of cancer-related hormones, which again, very important with our breast population. I often tell my breast cancer patients, make sure you're having some type of cruciferous vegetable every day, as much as you can. And of course, we have quite a few in that category, so it doesn't have to be broccoli every day. Reduce oxidative stress and reduce inflammation. So researchers have found carotenoids in dark green leafy vegetables can inhibit the growth of certain types of cancers. High cruciferous vegetable in consumption to lower the risk of several cancers like lung, prostate, and colorectal. So definitely another good thing with prostate. And actually, I believe they found that if you pair up broccoli or cruciferous vegetables with garlic, and even like say lemon or vitamin C, it increases and enhances the benefit from those foods. So our white foods actually in today's conversation is more our leeks and our onions and our garlic category. So inhibit inflammation and tumor growth, boost the immune system, boost production of detoxifying enzymes in our bodies. So when we eat foods like this, we're going to gain those benefits. And people who eat foods from the allium family, which is what these foods are, protect against stomach cancer. Garlic probably decreases the chance of developing colorectal cancer. So potent additions to any meal. Of course, many meals include onions and garlic, but an important thing to include in our diets regularly. So, green tea and grapes, wine berries, also source of ellagic acid with resveratrol, as we talked about. Cherries and citrus fruit peel, rosemary, other plant-based nutrients like the parallel limonene, carnosol protect cells against cancerous, slow cancer cell growth, strengthen the immune system. So important, like I said, to get that variety and that quantity. So bran, corn, oats, rice, rye, wheat, nuts are also going to be a source of phytic acid, which is an antioxidant. So we get those benefits from those kind of foods as well. So, that is the power of nutrition acting together and synergistically. And when we have that quantity and that variety, so we get all of these different color categories of foods, you're getting so much more benefits than if we're just getting greens or we're just one or two fruits a day and that's all we eat. So I'd like to go through an example of how this works to get those color categories throughout a day. So I have one example here. We have a pumpkin oatmeal with cinnamon, maybe even some ginger, topped with some walnuts. Of course, we have our healthy fats and our protein, some almond milk and clementine on the side. So then lunch, Caesar salad wrap with roasted chicken, a whole grain wrap, using a light Caesar vinaigrette, and a cup of butternut squash soup or some kind of vegetable soup, a cup of watermelon for a fruit. Snacking on some chips and salsa, lemon dill salmon with curry brown rice and some steamed broccoli with some garlic. And then for an evening snack, Greek yogurt with some blueberries. So as you can see, we have watermelon for our red category. We've included blueberries for our purple. We've got pumpkin in the oatmeal and butternut squash soup. So to make a full serving there. We have a clementine, orange, halo, whatever, for our citrus. We are using romaine lettuce for our leafy greens and broccoli at dinner for our other green categories. And of course, we worked in our garlic and ginger and all that kind of stuff. So that it takes a little planning and thought process sometimes if you're starting your day off. And say, for instance, I had yogurt and pineapple this morning for breakfast with some chia seeds. So I've gotten my citrus and I've gotten my protein. My lunch, let's say I'm doing a chickpea salad. So I'm going to get my cucumber, tomato, onion, the chickpeas and cheese. So I have yellow, green there and the red. And then let's say for dinner we have some salmon and broccoli, as we did here, or I may do chicken and rice with broccoli, kind of incorporated in, and some garlic, of course. What do I need to snack on? It sounds like I need to snack on an apple or some blueberries or something like that. So it can be done. We just kind of have to think through that type of tracking. So our goals when it comes to utilizing the power of nutrition, starting with a good foundation, be as lean as possible, be physically active, limit consumption of energy dense foods, avoid sugary drinks, eat mostly plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and minimize processed foods, not just meat. So we have had classes on that in the past as far as limiting processed foods, even foods that have a lot of dyes and chemicals and preservatives added in, pre-made foods, things like that. So we want to keep that in mind. Limit intake of red meat. Red meat can still be a potential carcinogen. We want the lean red meats and in less quantity. So let's say less often. We don't have to give it up completely. But limiting that and replacing more with fish and chicken and beans. Limit alcohol. We do have control over the alcoholic drinks, and alcohol is a carcinogen. It can increase the risk of certain types of cancers, so we want to limit that. We limit consumption of salt, and preferably, as I said, I encourage people to do food first rather than taking vitamins and supplements. Getting our nutrients from foods is always better. And then if you have young women in your families, encourage them to breastfeed, because that can protect their breasts and risk of certain types of cancers. The reason why we use food first and we don't, encourage a lot of supplements to protect against cancer. There are dozens of vitamin, minerals, and hundreds of phytochemicals naturally occurring in foods. Studies have showed that these substances work together in complex ways to prevent cancer and other chronic diseases. So we want that synergistic effect from the whole food rather than individual antioxidants that are being pulled out of a food and put into a vitamin. So eating more variety and quantity is the best way of getting more antioxidants and plant-based nutrients. And scientists are continuing discovering more of these substances in plant foods. So thank you all for joining us, and please, in the chat box or the QA, any questions that you have, just let me know.
Let's see. That you covered everything. Like, we're probably still like processing everything. But does anybody have any questions of Marie? Anything they'd like to say? I don't see anything yet, but I want to remind everybody that this lecture was recorded. So if you want to review it again, or if I'm sure we all know people that we would like to share this with, you can let myself or Lee know by the end of the week, and it should be edited by then. And Lee will send you out the link so that you can watch it again and forward it on to patients, family, or friends. And let's see, I still don't see any questions, but Marie, I think we can all agree, like the research that you do is just mind-boggling. I feel like a couple of your lectures and we could get a degree in nutrition. It looks like there's one question. Can you give some examples of soluble and insoluble fiber?
Yeah, so oats is a great example of a soluble fiber. The fibers we get from bananas, from applesauce, so like I said, the cooked apples, the bananas, the oats, barley is a good source of soluble fiber. We'll get some from berries, from melon. We get some soluble fiber. So yeah.
And
Um,
insoluble?
what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, and she wanted soluble and insoluble.
Insoluble fiber will be the skins of our fruits and vegetables, the bran, the core seeds, things like that. That's more insoluble. So insoluble means that it doesn't dissolve or it stays intact and is more likely to push things through our GI tract, where soluble fibers absorb water and gel, so they can soften. They can slow digestion. So it's helpful with diabetics because it can slow the digestion of other carbs in the meals. And it's less fermentable. So less of that gas and bloating as a side effect to that fermenting process from our gut microbiome.
Okay, thank you. I think that was the only question. So, yes, she said thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Thank you, Marie. Amazing as always. Thank you to everyone who joined us during their lunch. And I'd just like you to know that we have a couple of more lectures in May. On May 13th, it will be comprehensive care in brain tumors from a multidisciplinary approach. And the speakers will be our new neuro-oncologist, Dr. Sarabi Ranjan, and Dr. Robert Press, radiation oncologist, and he's also the director of our new proton therapy program. And on May 15th, a multidisciplinary approach to skin cancer care. And our speakers will be Dr. Ann Reed, dermatologist from the Rendon Center, Dr. Harold Huss, surgical oncologist here at the Lind Cancer Institute, and Dr. Anurag Agarwal, who is a radiation oncologist here at LCI. So we hope you'll join us for these other educational lectures. Thank you, Marie. Fabulous information. And also, Marie is very generous with her slides. They're great references. So when Lee sends out the evaluation, which we encourage everyone to please complete and return to her, you can also request a copy of the slides and or the link to the whole lecture. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of the day and rest of the week.